What are neurons? Neurons are the fundamental building block of the nervous system. If you really want to understand anything about neurology, here's where to start. The purpose of neurons is the fast relay and processing of electrical signals, which is managed through thin filaments. Working together, neurons enable animals to react to stimuli and ensure their survival. Neurons come in different shapes and sizes. Some look like this, others look like this, and researchers keep finding new types of neurons to this day. But despite their specific differences, they all share a basic structure. You can think of the neuron in three parts. They play different roles in the function of a neuron. First, a signal is received through tree-like projections called dendrites. They relay the input of many other afferent neurons to the cell body, called soma. In the soma lie many organelles that keep the neuron intact. It is the center of the neuron. After processing the input, the soma may send an output through the axon, which is a more linear filament projecting from the axon hillock. Both projections are also called neurites. But a single neuron is unfunctional on its own. It has to communicate with other neurons to get the job done. The communication between two neurons occurs where the axon of one neuron is in close proximity to another neuron's dendrites. Here the axon and the dendrites may form protrusions, creating a gap that is small enough to exchange information. The protrusion of the axon is called presynaptic button. The protrusion of the dendrites is called postsynaptic spine. And the gap between the two is called the synapse. The dendrites of a neuron are structurally organized in a way that serves the purpose of increasing their surface area. As a result, dendrites are able to connect to a large number of axons and receive a large number of incoming signals. Specifically, this is realized through perpetual branching and thousands of smaller spines. Spines look like this, or like this, or this. They also change shape, retract, grow anew, mostly according to incoming stimuli. Without the plasticity that spines provide, even in adults, we wouldn't be able to learn. But what happens at a synapse exactly? Spines connect with typically one axon. There, between the spine and the axon's terminal button, a synapse is formed. This is the communication site between individual neurons. Synapses can be divided into two types, depending on how the communication specifically is carried out. Electrical synapses are only 2 to 4 nanometers wide and close the gap completely at some points, fittingly called gap junctions, where the electrical signals between two neurons pass through directly. Chemical synapses are a bit slower, since the signal from the axon first triggers the release of chemicals, called neurotransmitters, which pass the 20 to 40 nanometers gap and then elicit a new signal in the dendrite. Chemical synapses are the more common type in humans, and their complexity allows for more modifications. But now that we've talked about dendrites and synapses so much, what is the point of the cell body? In general, the cell body, or soma, is responsible for keeping the whole neuron running. Here's what it's made up of. The control center of the soma is the nucleus, containing all the DNA of the cell and regulating gene expression. Outside of the nucleus, there is a collection of tubes responsible for the transport of proteins. This is called the endoplasmic reticulum. If you add ribosomes, it is called rough endoplasmic reticulum, or Nissl substance, if we are talking about neurons. Their job is the synthesis of new proteins. After proteins leave the Nissus substance, the Golgi apparatus takes care of packaging them in a membranous bubble called vesicle. Together, they take care of synthesizing and transporting proteins so that the neuron can be repaired or grow at the appropriate places. Obsolete material in the neuron gets degraded in the lysosomes. It contains hydrolytic enzymes that dispose of waste in its acidic interior. The energetic needs of the cell are handled by mitochondria, who produce ATP. A few more components complete the list, like the cytoskeleton, responsible for the mechanical stability of the cell and intracellular transportation. However, these were the most important ones. The neuron is as complex as any other biological entity, and this video barely scratches the surface of its inner workings. Still, try to remember these points. The neuron is the building block of the nervous system. The dendrites are responsible for picking up on incoming signals. The soma keeps the neuron running and processes the incoming signals. Starting at the axon hillock, output signals are sent through the axon. Together, neurons adaptively relay and process information and help animals survive in a complex environment. Check out the Neuroscience playlist on my channel for more information, or click on the info box for the next video in the list. Have a great day.